And that's my probably way too complicated plan on running the indoor 200. Good day everybody and welcome back to another day of Operation Oregon. Today is the 18th of January and in 3 days I'm going to compete in the 200 meter indoors. In my previous episode I mentioned that the indoor season would be important when it comes to my world ranking, and that is especially when regarding the 200. So today I'm in Oslo and I'm going to have a little bit of a training session where I try out some block starts. It's a little bit different to start in the bend, so I have to test it out before the meet. And also I'm going to run a couple of 60s and then a couple of 150s through the bend at about 90% speed, just to get used to the up and down running in the second bend. So let's just head out and get the session going.
So where you have to stand like this.
So that was my final session before my Friday meet. It was a pretty good session and I'm really happy with how it went. The block starts felt pretty good considering that I haven't started in the bend in a really long time, so it felt pretty weird, but all of the starts were quite acceptable. And then moving on to the 30 meter flyings, I actually ran equal to my personal best with a free lap system, 30 meter flyings. And then I moved on to some 150s just to test out the bend. Was going to go about 90%. Felt really nice and easy and I pretty much hit right at about 90% speed. And yesterday I did have a little bit of a strength session just to maintain my strength. Let's have a look on that. For warm up I did some jump rope and mobility before I moved on to some squat jumps, some light and easy power cleans before some easy 6 meters on the treadmill. Also, the training program had 1 times 15 push-ups. So now there's just 1 day left till I'm running the 60 and the 200 if everything goes to plan. So today I'm just doing a light warm-up before I move on to a couple of hurdle jumps. Let's go. Okay, so I decided to end off the session with just a warm-up today, and I'm going to do the jumping tomorrow as a preparation session for the meet later in the day. I'm going to do a little bit of a warm-up and some assisted jumps as a morning session tomorrow, so you can check that out in my next vlog. So before we end off, I'm going to just tell you a little bit about my race plan tomorrow and how I plan to run the 200 indoors compared to outdoors. I feel like the indoor 200 has a little bit more of a technical or tactical element to it compared to the outdoors because of the 2 bends and the downward and upward sloping of the indoor tracks. So here's my thoughts on how at least I try to deal with that. When running the outdoor 200, I think I have about 4 phases I divide it up to. It's the acceleration, the floating phase, the exiting of the bend, and the maintenance phase. I'll accelerate for about 30 to 40 meters before I start floating, and then when exiting the bend I try to get a little bit of a slingshot effect out of the bend. So I increase my speed a little bit out of the bend, and then when I've reached the straight with my max speed, I just try to maintain that and maintain my technique and stay relaxed throughout the rest of the race. In the indoor 200 though, I think I have maybe 6 phases. I may accelerate for 20 to 30 meters instead of 30 to 40. This is because I start my floating phase a little bit earlier and I try to make use of the downward curve in the exit of the first bend to finish off my acceleration. Then on the first straight, I just try to maintain my speed with a relaxed technique.
Kom igen, Mattias! What a start for Matthias.
Going into the second bend, I try to stay tall and active, having a high frequency so not to crumble under the stress of the uphill struggle that is the second bend. After coming into the second bend, I try to have sort of a maintenance or a transport leg where I just try to stay relaxed through the bend, because coming out of the second bend is where you can make it or break it. I try to make use of the last downhill part of the second bend, so I try to not have too much lactic going into that so that I can get a little bit of an overspeed effect out of the second bend.
Kom igen då!
After that, I just have to stay relaxed, maintain a good technique all the way into the finish line, let the legs do the work and not get too stressed and tensed up towards the end. And that's my probably way too complicated plan on running the indoor 200. And hopefully I can execute that perfectly tomorrow. I'm really excited, and thank you so much for watching, guys. And of course, an extra thank you to the members. You guys get to watch these vlogs early. Now I'll just write down my full schedule for tomorrow on my phone, and I'll get to bed, hopefully get a nice 8 or 9 hours of sleep, and I'll catch you guys somewhere else in Operation Oregon. Peace. I was actually visualizing this race on Monday out in ice water. Hopefully that will help manage the stress. I don't know.